Y'all, today's show is so good.
But number one, I've never seen an intro like that.
It is my hope and desire that not only will episode 30 still be fun, but episode 300 will be even more fun. You were made for something great, so go and be awesome.
Ten seconds remaining.
Hello, and welcome to the show. My name is Renee Hastings, and I'm your host of Renee Speaks. Y'all, today's show is going to be so fantastic, and that is because of our amazing guest. His name is Peter Guirguis, and he is an AI consultant, digital strategist, and founder of SwiftPress. SwiftPress Support, where he helps business owners leverage technology for greater impact and growth. Combining his background as a tech founder and ministry leader, he specializes in turning standard websites into automated lead machines. Y'all, put your hands together for Peter. Hey, Peter.
Hi, Renee. I am so excited. So I got to tell you, I have been on tens and tens of podcasts, as a guest, and by far yours is the best intro. Like, I'm sitting there listening. I'm like doing a dance, getting ready. I'm like, this is awesome. I love what you guys are doing with the show.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much, Peter. That means a lot coming from you. I know you've been on more than tens and tens of shows. So you have quite the extensive experience of working with people, marketing, helping them with all of the things that they need to have done and increase their visibility and understand who they are and their brand. And that means a lot coming from you. So thank you so much. And of course, to our incredible team behind the scenes, they're the ones who truly make the magic happen. And I couldn't be more thankful for them.
Amen to that. Yeah, absolutely. It's so wonderful working with the team, with May and everybody else. You definitely have an amazing team behind you.
Awesome. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. We're going to quote you on that, Peter. So let's just dive right in. Before we know it, our whole entire time is going to be up. And I want to give everybody an opportunity to learn not only about who you are and what you do, but how you make life better for business owners and make things easier for them for their websites to be able to work harder for them so they don't have to work so hard. Because as business owners, we know that is one of the things we want more of is visibility and being known, whether in our industry or in other people's industries, where they can refer us to, people in their industries, just different things like that. So take us back, Peter, take us way back. How it all started. Who is Peter Guirguis? And tell me if I'm saying the name right.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. The name is almost there. There's just a couple of letters missing at the end. It's Guirguis, but Guirguis. But you are spot on. It sounds amazing the way that you say it with all the excitement and zeal. So you could keep it coming. And for me, how it all started is, as you mentioned in your intro, is that actually I'm in full-time ministry. So I have the privilege of leading in my church and being the communications and IT director for my church. It's a mega church here in Gardena, California. And, when I first had my daughter in May of 2011, we were able to survive. Me and my wife and my daughter were just fine. But then after that, when we had my son, Andrew, in 2014, the bills began to pile high. And that ministry paycheck, salary just wasn't able to provide for a family of four living in Los Angeles. And so I said, hey, I need to start a business, a side hustle or something to start making money. And so I started, waking up early before, my job, just to start my business and to get something off the ground. And my first business was, I'm blessed to be, good at like time management and productivity. So I created making like these little mini courses, to help people with their time management and productivity. And I was just trying to make, a couple of grand a month extra to help supplement my income. And so I was working really hard every single day. I'd wake up, to try to build my new website, launch my business. And after about 4 months, I went ahead and I launched it. And I was hoping to make that $2,000. And lo and behold, I made $17.95. Can you believe that?
Oh no.
It was a big dud. Like the business did not work out well. And I think I even had to refund one other person. So it was bad.
Oh no. Oh gosh. Yeah, that definitely is not how you want to start. When you're thinking of as a business owner, or you're even in corporate America and you have hopes and dreams of being a business owner, and you have this vision of what you can see for the future for you and your family, and then for it not to turn out that way, holy camoly, how disappointing. But before we get too far in, Naomi Walker says that she is here and she is ready to take some notes. So we are dialed in. Jamal Carter says, oh my, hopefully he can't relate on that level of a business not starting the exact way that you had planned it. But thank you for being on the show today, Jamal and Naomi, and definitely keep the comments coming. Peter's got a lot to share, and I'm sure there's a turnaround story in there somewhere.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Renee. So the next thing that happened is that I ended up hiring a coach. So I said, like, hey, coach, like I found this guy online. I said, hey, like I got this problem. I launched this business. It miserably failed. Can you like come and take a look at my funnel, come and look at my business and give me back your feedback? And he did just that. And he said, I know what you did wrong. He says, the problem is that, your pricing is very low. It's very affordable. So it's not believable. Like people don't believe like you're this expert in time management and productivity. So what you need to do is you need to go on the other end of the spectrum and go high end and offer time management and productivity management for CEOs and charge $5,000 for just one gig. And I was like, $5,000 for just one time? Me? I'm like, yeah, that sounds amazing. So I did just that. And I went and I joined this program that helps you, create this like, high-end coaching for your business and all this stuff. And at the time, the cost of that program was $10,000. And being on a ministry salary, I didn't even have that much cash to begin with to spend on a $10,000 course. But I was like, hey, y'all, I need to buy this. Like, I got to have this. So I put it on a credit card, cha-ching, I swiped, and I bought the course, and I went in the course, and I followed it. I did everything that I was supposed to do. And at the end, you're supposed to do this like webinar funnel and like pay these ads to get this stuff. And I had other people that were doing it with me. And lo and behold, they were succeeding with their launches and their business. But when it came to mine, it was another dud.
Oh, no.
And this time I went into debt, Renee, because now I spent $10,000 that I didn't have and I put it on a credit card. Now I'm on the hook for it. I'm paying it back and I got no extra income coming in. Yeah, so I was pretty down,
Right. I can imagine. Oh my gosh. That is like one of my greatest fears, is that I would see something that looks so great, put all this money into it, expecting to have certain outcomes, and then it not be what I expected it to be. And now, like you said, you're on the hook for that $10,000. That and to some people, $10,000 might not be anything. But for others, when others, I'm just gonna say $10,000, you might as well say $1 million because it's the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was me. $10,000 was the world to me because I didn't have it, and I was on a ministry salary, and I'm trying to launch this business. And I remember there was just one day where I was sitting at the dining table, and I just felt so depressed. I was just like, "Oh man, like I'm never gonna get out of this gutter. This is gonna be the worst thing ever." And I remember my wife. I'm married to an amazing woman. She's just the perfect woman for me,
Aw,
and
shout
yeah.
out to your wife.
Thank you. And she came out and she just put her hand on my shoulder and she said, "Honey, don't worry. I know things are going to get better and things are going to be okay. And God is going to come through and help us out."
Mm,
And I just that was I was living on her faith because you know what at that time I was just so like low on the ground and so we
yeah.
started praying and just started seeing like okay like we need a breakthrough somehow and a few days later I had a friend of mine that owned a marketing agency and he was very very successful in his marketing agency. He had so much business that he didn't even know how to handle all the business that he had, and so he
Wow.
called me up one day and he said, "Hey Pete, I was wondering if I could give you a proposition." And I said, "Yeah, sure, what's up?" And he said, "Hey, I know that you're good at building websites. I have all these clients that need websites. Can you build websites as if you're a part of my team? It's called white labeling, and I'll pay you the money and I'll just charge them for it." And I said, "Yeah, sure, I can do that." And that's how my third and successful business started, building
Wow.
websites for people. And I got, a lot of training and got a lot of stuff doing for this marketing agency who was very, very successful. And I was able to build hundreds of websites for them throughout the years. And I've just been able to reiterate over that. And that's my background story.
Wow. Wow. What a comeback. That deserves an applause. I'm just telling you. That is just God is good. God is
Amen.
faithful. And thank God for your wife who was there to support you through it all, no matter what. And took the vow seriously for better or for worse. We're in it together. This is us. And trusting God and standing in the gap for you and truly just praying for that breakthrough, the windfall that you all needed. And that kind of leads me into a conversation I just had about relationships because we're in somebody in on one of our previous shows said the right person can change the trajectory of your life. If you had not developed that relationship with that person or somehow got to know that person, they would not know about you to ask you the question, would you consider this opportunity? Right?
Yeah.
Naomi said, now that's a comeback story. Yes, absolutely. So I'm sure you can relate, right? That this is a real thing. It's not just made up. It's not just philosophical woo-woo things, but relationships matter. We cannot stress that enough. Relationships matter. People need to know you. People need to know who you are. And you need to know other people so that you can be a referral to them as well. It goes both ways, right?
Yeah, 100%, Renee. I couldn't agree more. I think, when it comes to, your life partner, I think it's so important, to make the right decision. And so definitely you need to spend a good amount of time just getting to know that person, as you're considering them to be, your life partner and your spouse. So I think
Mm.
that is probably, the most important relationship that you have here, this side of heaven. And I think that also, like you said, like, to be in it, like, through thick and thin. And it's so important that, like, hey, you know what? You guys love my story because it's a comeback. Because right now, in hindsight, you have 2020 vision. But
Mm.
when I was in the thick of it and I didn't know how I was going to get my next paycheck and the money coming in isn't enough to pay the bills and I'm going deeper into debt and I don't know how I'm going to get out, it felt like I was in a dark tunnel and it was foggy and you're on that train and it's dark and it's black and you just are keep on going down that train and you don't know when are you going to get out of that tunnel?
Yeah.
But, you know, at the appointed time that was right for me, I got my harvest and I was able to get out and I reaped the harvest. But I was in a long season of sowing. And that's the thing. Sometimes you don't know how long you're going to be in your season of sowing, but God sure does, you know. But I remember that verse that says, let's not grow weary while doing good, for in due season you shall reap if you don't lose heart. And I think that's what we need to do. We need to make sure that we persevere and we don't give up, because the breakthrough is coming.
That's right. Oh my gosh, that is so good. I'm probably going to be hand clapping you all day. Like, because that is a yes and an amen, and that will preach. I mean, you need to say that again for the people in the back. Stay the course. Do not give up. When you are in a tunnel, in a valley, in a dry season, do not give up. Keep waking up. That is so important, because your breakthrough is just on the other side. You just have to hang on. So how did you, I know you had the support of your wife. When you're in that dark space, how did you keep getting up every morning?
Yeah, what a great question, Renee. I think the thing that motivated me was just, you know, the scripture. So being a person of faith, you know, being able to go back to the Word of God and just to read through it and lean back on the promises. You know, God's word says it shall not come back void. And so that was God was doing something in my life where I was, you know, meditating on the scriptures, reading it and just believing it and saying, okay, Lord, like, this is what you said in your word. I know you can't lie. So I'm going to hold you to this. And I know you're going to come through for me one way or another, you know? And meanwhile, I'm going deeper into debt, Renee. Like, every day, like, I'm like, I don't have enough money, you know, making from a ministry job to do this. And both of my business failures were a dud. And there is a lesson, I think, for those who are people of faith and are listening today or watching this. And that is, you know, when I came back and I asked God, you know, hey, like, God, like, why did I have these 2 business failures? What did I do wrong? And then he asked me, I could hear, like, you know, him speaking to my heart. And he said, did you ever stop and ask me what business you should have? And I said, no.
Oh, wow. Hold on.
Uh-huh.
I love that. I love how, first of all, God is so amazing. This whole audience knows I'm a woman of faith. I love the Lord, and I give him all the honor and glory for all the things in my life. So it's when you just said that, it just spoke to my soul. God said, did you ask me about this? How you going to move and do stuff without asking me? Right? I love that he was so kind to bring you that revelation, that that's something that was necessary in order for you to go through. Kind of, I won't call it a consequence, because God doesn't punish us for not asking. But it's something that we need to remember to do as we're moving throughout this life as business owners and as people, period. Lord, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Is this the road I'm supposed to be taking? Is this the decision I'm supposed to make? And wait on the Lord to give you a revelation or give you a word that says a confirmation. Yes, this is what you are supposed to be doing, or no. And if he says no, then stop. Don't do it. Right? Sherry says, trust your instincts and follow your passion. Yes, absolutely. We've got instincts. We've got passion. We need God to know that we're in harmony and in alignment with where God wants us to go. That is like the greatest place to be in. Muning Collectible says, amen. Faith first, then action. So many people want to do their own thing and then want God to put his hand on it. But it should be the reverse, right? And when we're doing what we love and what God has purposed for us, that's like the perfect combination in my world.
Yeah, 100%, Renee. And I think, you know, even as you were speaking those faith-filled words, you know, the scripture that came to mind was, you know, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding, and he will guide your paths. And that was the mistake that I was making, is that I was leaning on my own understanding. I was leaning on, hey, what looked good? What aligns with, my passions, and what's going to make me money, and, how can I provide for my family? I never once did I ever, think about, subjecting, all of this to God. And I think that was one of the mistakes I made earlier in my faith journey, is that, like, I didn't know that you could bring those kind of things to God, or that God cares about them, or he wants you to ask about them, And I think that that's why God allowed those failures. And for me, I guess I kind of sometimes have to learn the hard way. And those were some very expensive lessons. I mean, all the $10,000 course that I was telling you about was just only for the course. But don't forget, like those two businesses that I had, they're requiring websites, hosting, they're requiring my time, they're requiring money, software that I had to purchase. So I'm sinking in more of my own money into this money that I didn't have, because I don't even make enough money to support my family. So it was a very, very expensive lesson for me. So now I am honored, and I love going on, shows like yours, telling them my story, and be like, hey, you know what? Check with God first before you do anything, because what you really think is set back is actually a setup for success.
Absolutely. 100%. I love that, Peter. And Naomi says Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. She loves that reminder. So trust in the Lord with all your heart, and do not lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways, take notice of him, and he will make your path straight. It's one of my favorites too, Naomi. I can definitely relate. So obviously, faith and your faith journey has a lot to do with how you do business and what you're now doing, and you're living and out your purpose and your calling. You've got God's blessing on what it is that you're doing. So tell us a little bit more now about websites as lead machines. Why should a website work as a 24/7 lead generator?
Yeah, 100%. I think that the reason, Renee, is because one of the most things that most businesses, especially smaller businesses, or any kind of even business, one of the most important parts of is creating leads. Like, hey, whatever service you're selling, or if you're selling a product, whatever, yeah, you need website traffic and leads to come to your website. And unfortunately, most web designers and most business websites are what's called a brochure website. They're informational only. And so what happens is that if somebody just so happens to come by to the website, they'll take a look at the website, and they'll try to find the information that they're looking for. If they can't find it, they just leave, go back to Google, start searching, and find the thing that they're looking for. And then that business that they went and visited their website ends up missing out on making the sale, or doing any kind of consulting, or doing any the service that they provide. So that is a huge opportunity of them leaving money on the table. So most businesses have a brochure website, informational only. Hey, here's the product, here's the service, boom, thank you, ma'am. But what we do differently is that we build what's called smart websites. And now with AI, powering these smart websites, what we do is we have smart websites that we're able to tell, for example, we have technology in the background that's able to tell us, how far, somebody scrolls on the page. Because if they're not scrolling down to the sections on the page, that's telling us that there's a bottleneck on that website, where people are not, you're not maintaining their attention enough. And so we need to make it more captivating so that people can maintain interest. We also create, lead greeters or chatbots to help people. And you have AI having conversations so that, a person that's looking for the information before they leave, they can actually chat with a chatbot, ask it any questions. And then the chatbot is trained to kind of be an appointment setter. Hey, would you like to make an appointment, so we could talk about your case, with the business? If you would, let's get you on the calendar. Let's get you on the books. And the technology has advanced so much that now it's not just chatting anymore, but you can now have a phone call with an AI on the website and be chatting, and having a phone call, because a lot of people just would rather sometimes talk and use their voice
Right.
as opposed to typing. And that's how the technology has come so far. And that's basically one of the ways that we help businesses, turn their websites into not just brochure websites, but into, lead getting machines.
Wow, that's so awesome. And yes, technology, I'm telling you, is taking us to the whole nother level when it comes to websites and their use and their functionality, and being able to, like you said, be there 24/7, like with that chatbot that's on the website. Once it's been trained, it can answer pretty much anything of, any question that a person might have related to either the site or the service or something like that, because what's in the back end, I'm assuming this is how it works, whatever is in the back end of how what it's pulling from is being used as a resource to provide the answers to these questions. Is that right?
Yeah, that's 100% correct. So you're able basically to create a knowledge base for any kind of AI chatbot that you have. And so you are able to train it and say like, hey, based on this, all this data, and you know what, the data doesn't, you don't even have to create it from scratch. Let's say you have your information on Google Drive or on Microsoft OneDrive or whatever. Anywhere that you have it, the chatbot can be trained on the information that you have about your business. You can exclude stuff, you can add stuff. And you can also have like this history of looking at the chatbot and what are the kind of questions that are coming in, and you can create custom answers to those frequently asked questions. And just a great way to build relationships, to make sure that the leads that are coming to your website are not falling through the cracks, and you're able to basically capitalize on them. And it's really a great way to do what I call servant selling. It's like, hey, every business wants to, if they have a great product and a great service that they're offering, then they should be motivated to help out their, potential customer, because it really is in their genuine best interest to buy from them. And so that's how we use technology on websites to help, the websites do what we call servant selling.
Wow. We're going to definitely dive in a little bit deeper into that after we recognize Ben Williams, who says, so basically, I think he has a question. So basically, turning a website into a real tool, not just a page. So that's basically what it is that you do. You make it so it's more than just a page, it's a tool. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. It's a great question, Ben. Yes, that is correct. Is you're using it just as a tool and not just an information. Think about sometimes, when you go into a restaurant, they give you a menu, right? And that menu has all the information. And so a lot of websites act as menus for the business. They're like, hey, here's all the information that you need. But imagine you go into a restaurant, and instead of you getting a menu, you get a waiter or a waitress that acts as a concierge. And then she comes by your table and she tells you, sir, madam, can I tell you about today's specials? And you're like, sure. And they tell you, today we have salmon fillet. And they begin to sit there and to tell you about this delicious salmon or steak or whatever's your favorite food with peppercorn sauce and with all the trimmings and with all this like amazing stuff. And you're beginning to drool. You're like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. You're like, that's it. I want that. That, waiter or waitress sold you on that special dish that they're preparing in the kitchen, right? And that's the difference between the different websites. One is a menu, just informational. The other one is like the AI coming in and acting as your waiter or waitress and causing for there to be a craving, for your potential customer to actually want to do service with you. And it helps you out in such a big way, and it makes it a lot easier for you to make the sale.
Yes. Oh, that's so good, Peter. So good. And when I hear you talking about make the visitor crave what it is that you have to offer, I think to that point, it's super important to know who your customer is. What do they crave? How are you going to give them something to crave if you don't know what they crave? Right? So I think it's super important for business owners to understand who is your ideal client? What do they look like? How old are they? Where do they live? Where do they hang out? What motivates them every day? Those are the kinds of things we need to take into consideration as business owners when we're thinking about who are our people, right?
Yeah, 100%, Renee. And you know what? I think you are a great example of this. I think you are very much dialed in with who your ideal customer is, and you know them so well, that you cater your services to busy business owners who don't have the time, who are wearing multiple hats, and who are putting out multiple fires in their business. And so I'd love to ask you, how were you able to find out, who was your ideal customer? And one more question about that was also, how were you able to be in so much in tune with their emotions? Because I see what you have on your site, it's very commendable in the sense that, you know who your ideal customer is, and you also know the emotions that they feel.
Yeah. Well, thanks for reversing this interview. But I love the question. So I think part of where my mindset goes, and when I'm thinking about our ideal client and who we serve, comes not only from my years of experience working in corporate America, supporting high-level executives and the C-suite of Fortune 100 and Fortune 500 companies, and watching them and seeing what made them tick, seeing what ticked them off. All of those things, and being privy to these conversations that other people just never would be aware of, because it's the CEO of the company, and he can't show, or she can't show, all these emotions and thoughts or share with just anybody. And so as their assistant, that's a privileged space of confidentiality, that you get the inside scoop on how they think about things, what's important to them, what decisions they have to make for this multi-billion-dollar business, and that sort of thing. So having that kind of information helped me to identify what's important to our clients and how they feel when certain things happen or when certain things don't happen. And being able to meet them in that place, I think, helped me to create the foundation for Executive Help Now, and the way to train our team members, or what to look for in team members who apply to work with us. Do they have that level of discernment and judgment and wherewithal to know how to navigate the challenges facing senior level executives? So that, I think, helped me identify our ideal client profile and be able to speak to them where they are.
Yeah, and I've had the privilege of working with your team. So I love what you've built over the years. And I think that, God had put you as a trusted confidant for such a time as this, so that you can come alongside and help out those businesses and really help them to thrive. Because I can't even imagine, how many businesses, even like myself, and what I've struggled with in the past, need help from a company like yours. So I'm really grateful for your business and what, you've been able to build through the years.
Thank you, Peter. I appreciate it so much. And we are here to serve. We truly have a heart to serve our executives and business owners who are struggling, who are, holding all the hats, carrying all the weight. It's heavy. You're not meant to carry this heavy load all by yourself. When you start to delegate and let go and have somebody that you can trust that will walk this journey with you, it makes all the difference in the world, and we don't take that lightly. And it's something that it's our part of our core mission and values as a company, to have that servant heart mentality to lighten this load for this executive so that their business can thrive and that they can have the clarity and the space to even think about their future instead of putting out yesterday's fires.
Yeah, I can't even imagine how good it feels to know that you're a part of that journey for some of these business owners where you're literally saving their business. You know, they were going to give up hope, and they were going to, you know, throw in the towel, so to speak, and say like, hey, that's it. You know, I've tried my business. You know, I've been in it for 9-10 years, but I just can't do this anymore. And I think that you guys are a business of being burden lifters. You go in
Yes.
there and you take the burdens off of business owners, and that is something that is very much needed today.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. Thank you for saying that. And thank you for recognizing that. I appreciate, I'm so glad that you are a kindred spirit. It's like I'm preaching to the choir. You totally get us and who we are and what we do and how we serve. And yes, it is. That's what gets me up every day. Why I look forward to waking up every morning is because of the difference we make in the lives of our clients. And it's just so rewarding. I just can't even put it into words. I don't have enough words.
Yeah. It even reminds me of that quote that you mentioned at the beginning of the show, you know, where they said like, you know, about changing the trajectory of somebody's life, you know, and that's really when you are in a service or you have a business that literally can change the trajectory of a business. That is something that's very rewarding and
Yeah.
something that's very worthwhile. And I can understand why it's so motivating, because it's very meaningful. Because, you know, think about it, you know, when there's businesses that do want to give up and they're not experiencing success, or they have a ceiling that they don't even know about, that they can't go above because, you know, work personnel or because of finances, and they can't afford to do new hires. Well, then they can go to, you know, a company like yours, you know, at Executive Help Now, and get something for much that's very affordable, and be able to get the burdens lifted so that they can focus on what they do best. And then they can, you know, outsource and give the things that they can only trust, you know, a company like yours with. And that is life changing. And I think that is what makes it very exciting and very worthwhile.
Yes, 100%. I couldn't agree more. It is truly, and because when a business owner, if they're getting started, they've been in business maybe a couple years, they've got some revenue coming in, but they're still the only ones that are the team. Like that's not a great place to be in, because no major company has ever scaled to super success just on the back of one person's shoulder. You have to surround yourself with people who are subject matter experts in their field and give them the opportunity to operate in their natural gifts, skills, and talents, so that you don't have to be the one doing it all and being the bottleneck and the sole decision maker. That's not healthy. And that's not how you grow. And that does not lead to success. Success starts when you start to let go and delegate some things. And you don't have to hire a full-time person and put them on payroll and pay all the benefits and all the things like that. You hire a company like Executive Help Now, shameless plug, who comes in on a fractional basis and supports you, you know, in just a few hours a month even. So
Yeah.
think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, did you know that's actually how I grew my business before I was introduced to Executive Help Now? That I was the solopreneur. I couldn't afford to hire anybody else besides me, and I didn't have the finances as I was growing the business and I was getting more things. I just had to do the job myself. But then it came a point like, hey, I'm in full-time ministry. I got a full-time job, and I'm getting more business from this marketing agency. And before I knew it, and I'm like, I gotta also, I want to be there for my family. I want to be a great husband. I want to be a great dad to my kids. I don't want to lose out on the precious moments with my kids, you know? So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? I can't afford to hire a full-time employee. So then I began to look at, you know, at the time, virtual assistant companies. And I looked for like the cheapest one. I looked for the cheapest one because I couldn't afford any better. And guess what that got me? The cheapest skills and the cheapest service, and you get what you paid for. And, you know, also through some mistakes in that area, I had to learn that I had to, you know, upgrade kind of what I paid for, but I was only able to pay for just like, you know, one person that would help me out, like in a virtual assistant capacity.
Right.
And, you know, that person was able to take a load off of my plate. And then I was able to take on more because now I had a one-person team in addition to myself. And then before I knew it, you know, I was getting in more income. Now I could multiply and get another person, 2, 3, 4. And now, you know, we're, I think, we're a team of 6. So, you know, we're a small business. Yeah. Full time. So I'm able to basically be in full-time ministry, and I only spend maybe an hour or 45 minutes a day on my actual business, and I have my team run my entire business, and that's it. It's a blessing.
It is truly a blessing when you're surrounding yourself by the right people. It makes all the difference in the world. And Naomi says, facts. You shouldn't be the smartest person in every area. It's 100% facts. And it is when you start to build this team that you're able to start to delegate and let people do their thing, you know, work in their zone of genius. And one of the things, someone asked me recently, what do you consider success from today as opposed to what you considered success when you first started your business? And I thought that was such a great question. And because most people think, well, when I make a certain amount of money, then I'm a success, which was, you know, kind of a little bit the way I thought. Well, if I make this certain amount, then I'm a success. But then today, when I've seen so many lives impacted by the work we do, the number of lives we impact is our now measure of success for me. So how many lives can we impact? And doesn't just mean new clients, because new clients are new clients, which is great, but they are fathers, they are mothers, they are leaders in their communities. How many other lives are now impacted because this executive now has capacity and space to think about something other than work and be in the office from sun up to sundown? You know what I mean? And so there was a time when I could even, and still can, go on sabbatical and take some time, weeks off, knowing that the team still got everything rolling and going like a well-oiled machine. That's now my measure of success.
Yeah, I think I love what you just said, Renee, because I think and if you think about it also in another way, I think that what you enable people to do is that you enable people to live regret-free lives in a way.
Oh, that's good. Hold on. We enable people to live regret-free lives. That's quotable. I don't care what nobody say. That that's quotable. I love that. I love it.
Here's where I was going with that, is because, you know what, there's a lot of people that they, you know, are on a trajectory to live a life where at the end they're going to have some regrets because they sacrifice their business on the altar of their family. And they sacrifice, you know, the success of their business on the altar of their relationships. How many people do you know that, you know, are maybe have gone through a divorce or something because, you know, they were spending so much time in their business wanting it to be successful that they ended up neglecting their spouse or their kids? And that's one sure way to live a regretful life, is to neglect the most important relationships on your family just so that you can have business success or whatever other success you think is right in your own eyes. Right. Never. And that's the thing. And that's when, you know, a company like yours, like Executive Help Now, comes in that helps business owners live regret-free lives so that they can make the right decisions, so they can be in the most important relationships and be fully present with their spouse, with their kids, and make memories with their families, go on vacations, enjoy their life. You only have one life to live. And if all you're doing is work, and putting out fires in your business and trying to make more income and get more revenue for your business, and you're sacrificing the most important relationships to you and the most important memories to you, then you're on a path to a regretful life. And I think that's when Executive Help Now comes in and helps people to change that.
Yes, absolutely. Well said. Oh my gosh, Peter, that deserves just praise. I am so grateful. Applause to you for You do not have to sacrifice your family to run a business. You do not have to sacrifice your time, capacity, mental space to run your business when you get the right people in place to partner and journey alongside you. So we're supposed to be talking about websites, but I love where this conversation is going. And I love that you're kind of bringing it all back to us that yes, our website is just one component of our business. And it's a very important component of our business, but there's so much more. Being a business owner goes so much deeper than anything. And it's all about the relationships that we are building and we have an opportunity to build as we're journeying this path of entrepreneurship, and how are we spending our time and what are we devoting our time to? And is our ultimate goal to spend more time at work or to build and enhance and nurture those important relationships? And can they coexist? I think the answer is yes. I know the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So as we think about our work and relationships, let's talk about AI. Because AI has become some people's new best friend. I'm not sure that that's the greatest thing, but it's necessary. I am pro AI. Let's get that out of the way. And our whole team is pro AI and very proficient. But we need to know from you as the expert, how can entrepreneurs use AI if they don't have any technical expertise?
Yeah, 100%. I love this question, and I'm glad that we, kind of turned the conversation here, because this is a very critical moment. So I think if you're listening to this right now or you're watching this right now, this is definitely a message for you, because you have a very small window of opportunity. And so right now, if you have not, implemented AI in your business, and have not, taken the full plunge, then, there's only a small window for you to do it before AI levels the playing field and everybody will have it in all of their businesses. But right now, if you do it, you have an early mover advantage. And so that is the one thing that you could do right now is, hey, this is something that's super important in your business to start using AI and to do it. Now, here's the thing. You don't have the time and the expertise. Here's the truth about AI. And I'm in the IT field, so I'm knee deep into this, neck deep even. So, this is like my bread and butter and what I do all day. AI is changing so quickly and so fast. It's unlike anything in the history of the world that we've ever seen. That's how rapidly it's changing. And that's how rapid the innovation is happening. It's happening at a much faster rate, where even if you're, subscribed to YouTube channels that cover this topic, even their own YouTube channels are barely even keeping up with the amount of innovation that's happening and the many different use cases that you can do it. As a business owner, you don't have time to keep up with that. You don't have time to implement it either. So the best thing to do is, in my opinion, to hire a company, like Executive Help Now with Renee behind it, a trusted leader that you can trust, who her sole, part of her business is to make sure that she's staying on top of AI and that her team is receiving training and implementing AI in their business to support the business owners. That's how you leverage. That's the only way that you can do that. Because if you sit there and you're going to spend, the amount of time to keep up with AI and to implement in your business, that takes hours every week that you don't have, and nor is it your gifting or your skill set. Stay in the lane that you're supposed to be in with your gifting and your skill set and where God has called you, and give out and, outsource to other areas like AI to a trusted source, a trusted company. And I think that is how business owners can implement it, even though they don't have the time. And honestly, it's much more affordable than they think.
Right. Absolutely. 100%. Thank you so much for that support, Peter, and breaking that down so well. We've got a tiny window to stay ahead of the curve because it's changing so fast. AI is changing the game. Like, whether we want to believe it or not, whether we want to accept it or not, is here. It is here to stay. And what we have today is the worst it's ever going to be. It's only going to get better and faster from every single day. So, as a business owner, we would be foolish to stick our head in the sand and act like it doesn't exist or that it's going to go away. That is a surefire recipe for your business to not remain competitive, or for you to kind of get crushed under the weight of all the things that's happening, because people are going to be shifting and adjusting, making the adjustments. Kind of like, I'm a football fan. And when the plays that the team are running aren't working, the coach has to make some adjustments. Usually they go in the locker room at halftime and they're like, y'all, what is happening? We need to make some adjustments because, defense is doing this, offense, it ain't working. We need to do something different. That's the same thing we need to do as business owners. We need to make the adjustment because of AI. And so I love how you brought that back around, that it is so important to hire a company to do it. You don't have the time. You have zero interest, and it's just overwhelming. It's confusing. You don't have to subject yourself to it. Hire an expert. Hire team members that are experts. People are so afraid that AI is going to take over their job, but they don't have to be afraid of AI taking over their job. They're going to be replaced, if they get replaced, by someone who knows AI, though, if that does happen. So if you are the one knowing AI, great. But if you are not, surround yourself with people who do, so that they can, again, operate in their zone of genius and shore up you and your foundation of your business so that you can continue to remain competitive in this very rapidly changing market.
Yeah.
So to that end, and Jamal also says that the businesses that learn to adapt will have a huge advantage. 100%, Jamal. 100%. So as we are thinking about AI and staying ahead of the curve, what are some simple automations, if we just have to hang on to it and do it ourselves right now? What are some simple automations that save the most time and revenue?
Yeah, 100%. I love this question. And I also was taken back by what Jamal wrote. So as you were talking, I noticed the comment, and Jamal is right on the money, and he hit the nail on the head with his comment. And I think that, for me, I love to give advice that's custom tailored to our listener. So I'm gonna tell you guys about how you can find out what is the area, the bottleneck that is costing you the most time and revenue, and then I'll also share about some things that are the most common in businesses. So the exercise that I would say that you can do to find out what is the bottleneck and that is costing you guys a lot of time and revenue that you could probably use AI in is that if you do this exercise where you take a time audit, and the time audit basically says that is like for 1 week, anytime that you do something in your business, you're just going to write it down. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're just going to put out a list of paper. You can use, any app on your phone, on your computer, just to create a list. That's all that you're doing. Then you're going to start looking for repeating patterns. Hey, every Monday, you do the same thing. Every Tuesday, every Wednesday, or maybe you're doing, certain things that repeat during the middle of the week. And then now take a look at like, okay, how much time is those tasks costing you? So if it's something, you can maybe order, if you do this digitally, if you do this exercise digitally, like on a piece of paper, on an app on your phone or on your computer, then you can reorder the items that are on your list that take the most time. And, you always want to work on those things first. So It's like basically, when you're trying to put, all the rocks and the pebbles and the sand in a container and you're trying to put everything in, if you put in, the pebbles and the sand first, you're not going to be able to fit the big rocks in. But if you put the big rocks first and then add the pebbles and then the sand, then you're able to fit everything into that container. And so that's why you want to take a look at the big rocks in your business first. And that's, you do this for just 1 week and you'll be able to find out what is costing you the most time. And basically that will translate into dollars for you, because if you're paying an employee to do that, you're paying, something else to do that, then basically that's costing you time and money. Now, here's what is the most common for businesses across the board. It doesn't have to necessarily be the case in your business, which is why I gave you that earlier exercise to do the time audit. But the most common thing in businesses is going to be two things: emails and customer service. All right.
Emails and customer service. Let's repeat that for the people in the back. Emails and customer service.
Mm-hmm. So
those are big rocks.
Those are the big rocks in most businesses across America and across the world. Think about how many times, how much you email. So, probably it's taking you a lot of time. It's costing your employees a lot of time. So a great automation would be, if you know how to use AI, or you research it, or you hire a company like Executive Help Now to help you do it. They can create, these AI shortcuts programs for you, where basically instead of you waking up every day to a flooded inbox that, has all of these emails in it, and you're like, okay, you got to go one by one and reply to it just to keep, relationship with your clients alive. Imagine waking up and you already have a draft that is created by AI that sounds like you, that has been trained on your voice, that knows how you like to write, how your salutations are, how you like to close your emails, and that is trained on the knowledge base of your business, how you do business, what's your refund policy, what is your customer service policy, how do you fix things, and you have email drafts that are ready for you. That way you can screen them first before they actually get sent out. So there are tools that will actually send out the email on your behalf, which I don't recommend at the moment. The technology just is not there yet. But if you have a draft that's already made, there's tools that'll even create multiple drafts for you so that you can, choose 1, 2, or 3. You just choose the one, you click send. 5 seconds instead of 5 minutes is what it takes now to send off that one email. So that is a game changer.
Yeah.
And the other one is the customer service support. Is that like, hey, if you've got phone calls coming in or anything like that, that can be done by an AI agent. It can be done also by a chatbot that is trained on your knowledge base that can, do refunds. There's a good chance that if you've interacted with a business these days that is on the cutting edge and has already implemented AI, that, you have already experienced this. I experienced this the other day with Amazon. I bought, I had a return that I wanted to do. And Amazon, when I came to return it, it says, this product is not eligible for a refund. And I said, Amazon, what's up with that? No, I paid for Amazon Prime. Like that, how are you going to do me like that? So I got in the flesh, y'all. So I said, no, I need to speak to somebody. And so I sat there, pushed some buttons on the website. And then it took me to to an AI chatbot. And they said, hey, what's the problem? I said, hey, I buy for Amazon Prime. I tried to refund this thing. It's telling me I'm not eligible. I need to refund it. This product's not right. And guess what the AI did? They said, sir, we got you. Keep the product and we're going to refund you right now. You don't even have to ship it back. And I said, that's right, Amazon. You did me right. Yeah, it worked out.
Well, I am so glad that worked out. Peter, this has been so amazing. I cannot believe an entire hour has passed and we were just getting into the meat. So how can people stay in touch, continue this conversation with you offline after we disconnect?
Yeah, sure. Best thing to do, you can come visit me on my website at SwiftPressSupport.com. You can sit there and message the chatbot on there to see how it works. Maybe they'll give you some ideas on there. So hopefully that will be a blessing to you and help you out. And then of course, over there's all my social media. I do implement AI on my socials. So, you're going to get a response, and we say like, hey, it's an AI chatbot, because basically that's our bread and butter and what we do. So, but if you are interested in connecting with me personally, probably the best way would be to email me, which you can use the contact form on my website. I'd love to help out and just answer any questions that you might have, because any friend of Renee Speaks podcast is a friend of mine as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Peter. You were so amazing. Peter, you were made for something great. So go and be awesome.